Hello guys, this is Joshua Hawes. As you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be doing a review finally for the Eternals. I saw this like a month ago, only just now got into review, and I just want to let people know in this video, due to everything going on, I'm going to be reviewing Hawkeye as a show overall in one video, like Hawkeye Season 1 review, because that would just be easier for me to do. All I'll say so far is that the show's a really fun, enjoyable show. Takes a while, we still kind of haven't figured out the big plot, but it's still a really good, solid show. I want to make that kind of very clear that it's shrouded in quite a bit of mystery, which is also alright. So overall, that's been a good show so far. But I'll do a full season review when the entire season's out. I will soon be doing a review for Ghostbusters Afterlife, as if you're getting this on Wednesday, I'll be seeing the film the day after. So sorry, so I'll probably do a review of that. And then the big one for this month, No Way Home. So let's just kind of get into my review for The Eternals. Overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this film. It is so just different. It's the most unique project the MCU has done. And I knew nothing about it beforehand. It seemed weird. I watched the film and compared to everything in the MCU, it is quite odd. And the way they tell the stories, I think it's unique, but those are my general thoughts. Let's go into the good. What's really good about this? And the good is that it's how unique of a way they tell their story, and the way, because of the uniqueness, the way they tell the story, we don't fully figure out the characters like at the beginning. They basically what I'm trying to get is that this film isn't told in chronological order, but this is intentional. And when they show you, it like goes around the timeline so much, but it's intentional. Because when they show you that scene, it's important because it gives you information you need to know at that time about those characters for the rest of the film. So they do it incredibly smartly, and it's also kind of, you can also kind of realize what's going on. Like you're kind of, the way they do it, it means you're left in the blue of the situation about what on earth's going on, like the characters are, which makes so much sense. Because if I think if they told this story in chronological order, the movie for me, I just don't think would have worked. It wouldn't have. It just wouldn't work anywhere near as good as it did. But because of the order they told the film in, I think this film is really solid because of that. It has a great cast, and the characters, the situations and decisions about the characters are not what you would expect from a Marvel film. They make interesting, unique decisions that don't usually expect from a Marvel film. But that's why it's so good, because it subverts your expectations of who these people are, what's going on. The final battle is so unique. I can't think of another final battle. And the story that they tell with these people, I think is really good. And also, because of the nature of the story, there's actual tension about, are these characters going to make it? Because that's why not everyone makes it. So it creates some really good tension of, are they going to? And characters make choices that you do not expect, which is why this is so completely just unique of a product. From Sorry, I just knocked the table. Just so unique of a product, because like stuff happens to the characters. There's a general sense of tension about what's kind of going on, and the characters make just choices you would not expect, but still work for their characters and their ideologies and their beliefs. The only reason you do not expect them is because your brain has been trained with MCU films not to expect it. So when it does, it's great, and it's actually character-informed decisions that kind of put the story first. The characters are incredibly interesting. The action is really good. There's pretty good action. It's not the crutch of this film. This film is quite a long one because it's quite a lot of ground, like world building, and the way I just think the thing that I get like the most is the way they told their story, because it's us unraveling kind of what some important details of what's happening, us starting to connect the pieces, like, but around the time the actual characters do. So you're going on the journey with the characters. I think is a great touch, and they're not all introduced at the start. They're reintroduced in like multitude of ways. They do a really good way of establishing these unique kind of characters and their beliefs. I just really enjoy it. Let's get into the mix. The mix is that this film is this mix is anything that's like bad. It's like meh. You either love it or you hate it. It's that I think this is the main reason why this film is very divisive among fans, because of how unique it is story wise, the decisions they make, the plot beats. Like this shouldn't be an MCU film. This tonally, plot wise, is not an MCU film. They barely ever reference the MCU in it. They only reference a certain event, and that is the event from Endgame. It's not really a spoiler, but that's the only time anything MCU related in like the bigger picture is referenced. So that I think is incredible. That is, I guess, something you might not like because it feels so loosely connected, and just the way the film is kind of told. Yes, there was a traditional post-credit scenes which are pretty interesting, but they don't reveal. They're not like mind-blowing post-credit scenes. I feel like the kind of post-credit scenes of what's to come in future internals movies, not for the future of the MCU. So that's something about it. I think this film would just depend on how you're willing to adapt to this change or whether you like it or not. So let's go to the back, because it isn't a perfect film, and my biggest gripe is that for certain characters, the way they tell the story is a great way of telling the story, but the consequence of that story is that things happen to the characters before you've actually gone to care about them. You don't learn to care about other characters until after something big happens, or you kind of do that's a negative of this kind of storytelling. And also, I think a big thing is that this film is confusing. You have to watch this on multiple turns, because it is one of those things you have to pay attention. Like, you can't leave 5 minutes for a little toilet break and have the film go and just you'll understand where you're at. No, because this is a very complicated film, and especially with the way they do the timeline, if you miss like a few minutes, your brain's gonna be baffled. And just the point, which is where my negative comes along, is that I watched this film, paid fully attention in the cinema, because that's what I do. I like to pay attention to the film, and there were still times I was baffled, like bits with like the ending and stuff, and I was like, what? And yes, it's not a big gripe, because all it's going to take for me is, I know, a rewatch of the film, and everything will start making sense again. But in the meantime, it just means that a film should be great and understandable within first watch. That's just kind of my opinion. And this is one of the mixed things, but this film does a lot of groundwork, a lot of building of this world and the characters and this idea of what this is, that it might be too long for some of you. And one thing I do like though is the ending is completely unique. Like, this isn't like a complete, because the way MCU like to do things is have the movie be a complete film, and there'll be post-credit scenes that tease future things, but the film itself is complete. This isn't it. It's majority complete, but it ends in a way where you know this particular story is not complete, and there's more to go, and it ends in an unexpected way for MCU films without spoiling it. So those are just kind of my thoughts of it. Overall, it is a solid film. I wouldn't say it's probably in the top 10 best Marvel MCU films, but I wouldn't go like top 5. It's a solid film, a good introduction to these characters. Interesting aspect. I'm interested to see where they go. One thing I am slightly worried about is because of how unique and different the characters are and how these characters are told, how they fit when we eventually, because this will have to happen obviously, bring them into other films and other projects with different directors who might not have that kind of storytelling in place. Their characters might not work as well. That is something that is a concern. But overall, I think I enjoyed this. I'd give this about 7.8 out of 10. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but that's just kind of how I feel right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications so you never miss a video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!